Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today we are covering the Secret World of Arietty. Um,
Not much of
also,
a secret,
apparently,
though, we
sometimes
found it.
it's apparently it's just called Arietty.
Hmm,
So there's that.
it sounds complicated.
Yeah, obviously this podcast will contain spoilers for said movie. If you'd like to avoid those spoilers, there will be a link in the description below to the Just Watch page for this movie, which itself will have links to every place you can rent, purchase, or stream the movie with price comparisons for renting and purchasing. For us here in the US, it's available for streaming on HBO Max. I believe in Canada, it's available for streaming on Netflix. Canada and the UK, I think. I think in Canada and the UK, they get Ghibli movies on Netflix.
That's an odd tidbit to just know.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. But regardless, yeah, there's that whole thing. As far as upcoming shit, you can join us tomorrow for Inhumans. Inhumans. I'd say season 1, but there's only one season, so join us tomorrow for that. And next week for our free movie of the month for August 2023 and Avengers Infinity War. Lily, can you spin the wheel to determine what they can join us for the week after that?
Wait, what?
I asked if you
No,
could
no,
spin
no,
the
I
wheel.
got that. It's just, something, I thought I was gonna land on one thing, but it just went slightly onto another. Anyway, the fifth wave.
Sick. That movie's been on the wheel for a while now.
Yeah, I actually don't remember when you, put it on.
Definitely several months ago. But all right, yeah, you can join us in a couple of weeks for the fifth wave. Uh, but yeah, if you look in the description below, you will also find a link to our Patreon, where you can vote on future episodes of this show, as well as get access to episodes before they release, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books. And that podcast is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon. Also, in the description, you will find a link to Anchor.fm, which has now become Spotify for podcasters. Uh, on that page, you will find links to every platform that this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter, where you can be notified when we release a new episode. If you'd like to support us but can't do so financially, please listen to the podcast on Spotify. Um, but with all that being said, uh, please get out if you'd like to avoid spoilers, because we are going to start talking about the movie now. So, before we get into anything, okay, I watched the dub. I'm not sure about you. Did you watch the dubbed version or the subbed version?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, I gave you two options and you said yeah.
Well, I swear to God, Lisa, like, did you watch the dub? And I just want to say, yeah, I did.
Okay, so neither one of us watched the subbed version then.
I watched like
Although
10 seconds of it.
yeah, I did too. I was like, oh wait, this is the subbed version. Let me click back because I know for sure the dubbed version's on here. I watched it earlier this year. But yeah, earlier this year was the first time I watched this movie, and I knew I wanted to cover it on the podcast. I was going to want to cover it anyway because, I mean, it's a Studio Ghibli movie, and I kind of want to cover most of them, so there's that. But I imagine you've never seen this movie before.
No, yeah, this would be my first time.
Yeah. Um, what did you think of this movie?
Tiny people.
Yeah, is that all you thought? Just tiny people?
Around that, yeah.
Yeah. I
You know,
had
my brain is
mentioned
usually
that.
have no thoughts dates anyway, so.
So, which movie is better? This movie or Epic?
You know, I'll be honest. I honestly do not think you can really compare them. Especially, like, they have a little bit different of plots in the way how they go around telling the story of tiny people. Because on Epic's
Yeah,
side, they turn tiny. But in this movie, it's just the tiny people stay tiny and the big people stay big.
yeah, I mean, to be fair though, in Epic, the tiny people also stay tiny. It's just that there are some big ones who go tiny. Or rather, one big one who goes tiny.
But the way the presentation is different. So, like, for Epic, is that, you watch this big person and they become tiny and learn about all these tiny people. In this movie, our main protagonist is like the tiny person. They already know all about the tiny life and they're learning about the big life.
Yes. But, like, also, they're just, like, entirely different genres. Like, Epic is more like fantasy, action, adventure, whereas this is like, I don't really know what to call this.
Slice of life?
Yeah, only it's not very realistic, so like I don't fucking
Slice of
know.
fantasy life?
Yeah, it's something. How old is this movie? Can you check on that?
I should because of I have the critic rating. It was released in 2010. Another movie? Oh my
Okay.
god.
Yeah, I feel like we've covered like 50 movies that released in 2010.
I swear we just need to, like, bring up every movie that released in 2010 and just decide to cover all those movies. At least all the animated
2010
movies.
2010 makes sense because I remember at some point seeing trailers for this movie when going to see like other things in theaters.
Things that are released in
So
2009.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, I feel like I probably could have seen like trailers for this movie when going to see something like I don't know, The Incredible Hulk. I'm actually not sure if I watched that in theaters. I know I saw Iron Man in theaters.
Hmm. Oh, also, if you made it this far, you can also watch it on Amazon Prime Video.
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I watched this movie earlier this year, it kind of instantly became my favorite Ghibli movie, and I can't really explain why. Previously, my favorite one was Howl's Moving Castle, which is another Ghibli movie we have yet to cover. Um, like I really loved that movie, and like now there's this one, which I think is better, but I mean, take my opinion on what the best Ghibli movie is with a massive fucking grain of salt, because I've seen like four, no, five Ghibli movies. I've seen
Yeah,
five.
yeah, I believe we've covered 4 movies.
Yeah. Um, I have seen My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Spirited Away, this movie, and Howl's Moving Castle. So that's five.
We literally
And
covered the first 4.
yeah, or we covered the first three and we are now covering the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, to them, we've already covered it.
Yeah, because by the time they're listening to this, we will have already recorded this episode. That's
Yeah,
kind of how that works.
we're not doing a live stream.
Yeah. Imagine if we live streamed our episode recordings. That would be painful.
No one would listen.
No one listens now.
I know. Though, I mean,
But yeah,
it would be interesting just to have, like, live comments. It's like, this movie sucks. It's like, no.
yeah. Unless it's zapped, then we can just say yes.
Yeah, but we're not covering that
But
movie again.
bet.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. Like this movie, there's something about it that struck a chord with me, and I can't really quite articulate why. Like I had seen Epic before this, so I had already like seen a movie that explored the concept of like little people just existing and like being a secret and shit. I also want to say I think this is like a adaptation of I want to say manga.
Maybe.
So but I believe originally it was called The Borrowers.
I mean, if that's true, that'd probably be where they get their name from.
Yeah. Um, but I don't know. I just thought it was like something about it struck me as kind of cool. Uh, and just some funny things to me. It was like seeing the the old lady. I don't even remember what her relationship is to uh the male character, but seeing her just go absolutely bonkers was quite funny.
I think
Like they,
I remember him saying something like aunt.
yeah, I feel like that's probably right, but I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But yeah, like
that girl's going through her supervillain arc.
I mean, they were straight up gaslighting her. It was fucking great.
I mean, she deserved it.
Yeah, like who takes a human and puts them in a jar? God.
I mean, technically not human, at least not in her eyes.
Who takes a sentient being and puts them in a jar?
A lot of people.
Sentient beings? No, they don't.
I mean, sentient, like alive.
I'm pretty sure like alive and sentient are not like synonyms. Like things that have a consciousness and can actively like make choices the way we can. Like those don't really exist in this world apart from humans.
I mean, it's a complicated subject matter. Not really like everything can talk to us. There's a lot of animals that still have better, if not more intelligent than humans. And
I'd
we
say it's
really
a
just
stretch
don't
to
know what's inside their brain.
I'd say it might be a stretch to say like more intelligence. I feel like dolphins are the closest to human intelligence. Maybe gorillas. There are some gorillas that can literally communicate with humans, like using sign language. But the notable thing about that is that um, gorillas do not possess an innate sense of curiosity. Um, and this has been observed by the fact that at no point have has any gorilla ever asked us a question
How would they ask a question?
with sign language.
Hmm. Because they don't need to ask questions because they just know everything.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they can't comprehend the idea that there are creatures out there that are more intelligent than them. They think that they already have all this stuff figured out. But,
Yeah, so do
like,
Twitter users.
yeah, but Twitter users are about as smart as, like, an infant pig. so they don't matter.
I was about to say, like, at basic level, we don't really know if everything around us is sentient or not if they don't talk to us. Though, she was kind of pleading for her life.
Yeah, like literally, she was quite literally speaking. I'd say there's a massive difference between someone doing what this like aunt character does in this movie versus someone who, like, I don't know, captures butterflies.
I never understood catching butterflies. Like, just what do you do after? Do you have a butterfly, exhibit? Do you kill them and put them into a book?
Who knows? Uh, but I don't know. Like, I found it funny seeing her just going absolutely crazy when, like, especially when she opens up the area where the borrowers were living and is fucking shocked when there's nothing there.
Oh my god! So my favorite part about this movie, especially like when she was going ballistic, is when she locked the room and then some time passed and then he's just there. So of course she can't, say that how do you get out? I locked your room. So it's just her facial expression is just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and the uh, the main human character, the guy in the movie whose name I can't remember, um, God, he's such an interesting character. Um, Not for really like any of the reasons I would have thought, but like the whole concept here being that he's like he's discovered these small tiny people living in his aunt's house, or I guess technically it was his mom's house, but she's gone. uh he's found these people and they're terrified of him, and he's like just this nice kid, and he's also dying.
I wonder if he's
And
okay.
I
Actually, yeah, we know he's okay.
do we
Well, I mean, we know the heart surgery went okay.
I mean, there is implied at least some time that he survives after the movie's over, but we don't know how old he is, like in the end of movie narration. He doesn't
He
sound much older though.
True, but he was old enough for the family to not only move, but also reports of things missing.
Well, yeah, um, which I find honestly a little adorable, but like they they never spoke to each other again. They never saw each other again. But
It's
I
almost
find
like
their
a bittersweet ending.
yeah, um, and like not every movie needs to have a happy ending. Hell, the last movie we recorded, I wouldn't say even had a happy ending. Um,
But
that movie being Inside Out. Like I felt like it was very deliberate in not having a necessarily completely happy ending.
I mean, I would consider it happy.
I feel like it's supposed to be a bittersweet ending. Like I feel like they very deliberately set it up for that.
Well, I mean, they had like the entire ending where with the hockey. I don't think anything can get much happier.
I mean, it did end pretty ominously
Well, yeah,
with
that's
like
for the
the
sequel that's
console
happening
having a
next year.
yeah, with the console having a puberty dial and Joy being like, Riley's 12 now. What could happen?
I mean, that's obviously just sequel bait.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, this movie, it did something. And I don't know what it did, but it did it right. Which is odd. It might be odd to say it, but I feel like that's generally how Studio Ghibli movies are.
Well, let's see. My Neighbor Totoro. I don't know what the that movie just kept going and going without actually giving you a time to understand what they're what story they're even trying to tell,
I mean, it
and
didn't
it
really
just
feel like they were
ends.
telling much of a story in that movie at all they, until the sister went missing.
In
I
that
feel like it
movie,
was
things
just an
just
exploration of
happened.
yeah, I feel like it was an exploration of childhood, but for some reason it was still fun to watch even when nothing was happening.
um, Kiki's delivery service thing, like there was a story, but I feel like it also followed, like My Neighbor Totoro in a little bit. Things just happened because happening,
And
and
then
then what?
Spirited Away was an acid trip.
Oh, absolutely. That had more of a concrete story, but that's the only thing that was concrete.
Yeah, I
Everything
mean,
else is just wavy. It's like Sokka when he drank cactus juice. That's how I felt when watching that movie.
yeah, I mean, like that movie had me questioning what things were actually happening and what things weren't real at all.
And then we have this
Granted,
movie.
granted, it didn't make me question that as much as Joker did, but still. And now that movie's getting a sequel, which just
We can
yeah,
comment on
okay.
it later.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll cover it at some point. But
So
like for
then,
being 2010, for being 2010, like this is hand drawn animation, and I got to thinking while watching this movie,
hmm,
hand drawn animation has an advantage that CG animation does not have,
what's
and
that?
it, it's that hand drawn animation that is good animation. It stays good. It doesn't particularly show its age quite as much as CG animation does.
Yeah.
Like you go back and you watch, say, Beauty and the Beast. That movie is still beautifully animated, and yeah, there are one or two CG scenes, but most of it's hand drawn.
Hmm.
And that was from 1991, and it still looks incredible in 2023. And it's the same story here. This movie came out in 2010, and it still looks incredible today. I thought it
That is.
was worth pointing out that there is that advantage that hand drawn animation has.
Well, I mean, it's the difference between what Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
I mean, I
And
wouldn't say
yes,
that,
I don't know, the Twilight Princess art style, because it's going for realistic, looks outdated. You know what Wind Waker is, and I like it for that.
yeah, but even Wind Waker doesn't look like. Even Wind Waker shows its age, graphically speaking.
Hmm. I guess that's fair enough. Still, it
But
definitely slows its aging down when it has like that sort of animated, not realistic looking.
I mean, even if things like even in CG animated things that are not meant to look realistic still show their age quite often just because better CG animation techniques get developed over time.
Hmm. What does that mean? That hand drawn doesn't show its age because it can't be improved that much?
I mean, I don't really think it can be improved that much. I feel like when it comes to hand drawn animation, if it's good, it just stays good.
Yeah, I guess hand drawn animation has hit a skill cap.
Yeah. I mean, hell, even the 19 fucking 37 or whatever Snow White movie still looks incredible. It hasn't aged well,
It
but it's not because of the animation.
was because of the writers.
Yeah, like, but yeah, I felt like it was worth pointing something out, like, because we've covered, well, actually, I don't know if we've covered any CG animated movies that haven't. Okay, Toy Story. I was gonna say we haven't covered any CG animated movies that haven't aged well due to the animation getting better, but Toy Story would be the one.
Speaking about Toy Story, I recently learned that what? Sorry. Go.
You good?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to gesture. Um, I also just completely forgot. What was I saying?
You were talking about Toy Story.
Oh, right, yeah. The other kids in Toy Story, is just Andy with different clothes. I just learned that.
Well, there's like a fun Easter egg in like Toy Story 3 that we're gonna talk about at some point. Um, but yeah, like that'll be a fun time for when we get there. So, like back on this movie though, another thing I wanted to talk about, the score is fucking incredible. God, like I really need to put the score of this movie in my Spotify playlist. It is so good.
Yeah. It's
Like there
I
were
didn't
legit times where I was just sitting there vibing to the score of this movie.
I didn't notice it that much. Though that
Yeah,
could just be during that I was playing a game at the time.
wow, playing games while you're watching a movie. I've certainly never done that when watching movies for this podcast.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, I mean,
My lying detector is going off right now.
although to be fair, I don't think I've actually ever done it for a movie that I hadn't at least watched once before. Um,
The game
but if
was
I've
like
already seen the
really
movie,
repetitive, so I pay more attention to the movie than the game.
yeah, but like I feel like when it's a movie I haven't seen before, then I very much pay attention to the movie. But when it's a movie that I have seen, I kind of I kind of find myself just listening to it more than anything most of the time. Although I was very attentive to this one and actually like watching the animation.
I swear I need like two monitors because like if my attention isn't in two places, I swear it's in nothing.
Yeah, I mean, something interesting I found about this movie is how they used the credits because
Hmm.
at least for like the first half of the credits, the movie is still playing. Like yeah, there's no dialogue, but it's showing like the family and the moving process like on their journey to wherever the hell they're going.
I wonder where they're going.
Somewhere. They literally just went to the next house over.
Which is weird
It
because
took them
it almost looked like they went into like a river.
the next house down the river. This is
Well,
a rural area, so it took them a while to get to the next house.
I mean, I would assume that it took a while to get to the next house because they are small, but okay.
Both. It being a rural area and they're tiny, so it took them a while.
They're small.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, this movie's great. I'm very certain it well, I don't want to say very certain. I'm sure that it probably won't remain my favorite Ghibli movie forever. Because like for one, there's just a lot that I haven't seen, and I've also heard Princess Mononoke is really, really good. And I definitely want to cover that at some point, but we're not there yet. But yeah, like I don't know, like there's something about this movie. It just I feel good
It feels
watching it.
nice.
Yeah,
It feels
and
good.
and like I said earlier, that's kind of just the magic of Ghibli movies. There's not really much more to say about it. Like they feel good to watch, at least the ones I've seen.
And they're actually really. There's another thing about Ghibli movies. They're really simple.
Yeah, and there is something to be appreciated about that. But yeah, like I don't really have much more to say. So do you want to get into the critic ratings?
If I must. Nah. 7.6 out. What am I doing? IMDb gives this 7.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 94%. Common Sense Media gives it a 4 out of 5. And 89% of Google users like this movie.
I think I'll give this an 8.9. I don't think it quite goes up into the nines for me.
8 point. Nah, fuck it. 8.5.
All right. Well, like we said earlier, you can join us tomorrow for Inhumans, and next week for uh our free movie of the month for August. We don't know what that is yet. As well as Avengers: Infinity War, and you can join us the week after that for uh shit. What was it?
The fifth wave.
Ah, yes, The Fifth Wave. That's gonna be a fun one. Another book to movie adaptation. But anyway, uh, until then, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you